Hi guys, and welcome back to Christian Cast, where I build baits so you don't have to. Today I'm actually trying something completely new. You might have seen that I have been doing my first soft baits, and now we're going to be going a little bit more into the 3D printing of own soft bait cast molds. So I made a mold for a lure, also with the eye size of the eyes I always use, so we can actually add some eyes to our soft baits. And the mold itself is a little bit of a struggle to clean up, so I'm going to be playing around with ironing settings in my 3D printer then still, and we're going to be looking at that a bit, trying to smoothen the surfaces that I don't have to work as much afterwards, that we get some clean lines inside the mold. I don't know if you see it, it's a little bit rough today still, but we won't mind because this is just a prototype to see actually how sealed it is and if it actually works, if the tail demolds, because we had trouble the last time I did that. And we'll just be seeing how it performs because I actually printed it in PLA, and we know that PLA is a little bit softer, it doesn't like temperatures too much, it starts warping and just stuff like that. So I actually printed it with 75% infill, so we're going to be looking at how it performs in the oven because I won't wait an hour to see if it works with the PLA with the curing process. So we're going to be setting it into the oven and actually checking if we have trouble. Then once we take it out, if the PLA starts warping in all kind of directions, if it's a little bit of a fail, if it works. But I think that we'll just give it a try and see how it goes. Otherwise, as I mentioned in the video of last week, that you have got the option to cure your baits at room temperature for 60 minutes. So we're gonna just try and do it by 80 degrees for 8 minutes. So we'll see how that goes and how it performs and if we actually run into trouble. And I'll take you guys with on the process. So I'll set you guys up on the desk. If you haven't seen the video of last week, you can check it here or there, and I'll drop the link. And let's get started. I'll put you guys on the desk and we'll start mixing our colors. So see you soon. So as you can see, this is the mold, and things I want to change in the future is I don't want to put in these pins printed, because the first mold I actually printed, after putting them in like this together, I struggled taking them apart and I actually ripped off one of these. So we're going to actually also make holes on this side and add metal pins in there. You can see the eye is in. You see a little bit of brown residue from my sanding blocks, which I also don't like too much. So we're still pretty much right at the beginning and we're just trying out things. You also see that there is a little bit of warpage, so there's a little bit of a gap right here and right there, but once we add our clamps we actually get it to squeeze together quite well, and I'm hoping that we don't get too much of seepage through to the bottom. So there's still quite a lot I want to work on and see how it goes. We planned in the eyes, and we'll also see how it actually performs in the oven, as I was saying, because this warpage also is due to printing it with a very high infill value and the PLA. So that's two things to keep in mind. I'm going to print a second version of it in PETG, and we'll see, because it's a little bit more resistant towards temperatures, and I think that we won't have such a struggle in the oven itself. And another thought with the pins, actually making them out of metal, is that when preparing the form itself, it is a lot easier to sand these surfaces and keep them straight if they aren't these protruding pins actually in the mold already. So we'll just make life a little bit easier for us. And now I don't know how much lure material fits into here, so I'll be weighing out a little bit more today, and once I know it, I can write it on the side of the mold and we'll know for future baits that it holds around 10 to 12 grams of soft plastic. So yeah, we're just going to be trying that today and we'll see how it goes, and yeah, so let's get started. I'll set up everything, get the lure gum ready and clamp down our foam, and we'll start mixing the colors and all the glitter, and we're going to be adding a little bit of the glowing powder today. As we know, first is going to be the component A, so we'll go ahead and add some to our cup, and we're going to be going with around 5 grams. There we go. And we'll be doing that with all cups today, just that I'm very sure that we fill the foam completely. And we're going to be doing a 3-colored lure today again, very similar to the one that we made in the first video. So we're going to be concentrating on the green, the blue, and we're just going to be adding some luminescent colors into the blue and into the green, that we have a little bit of a effect more. So now we're ready with that, and we're going to go ahead and grab our first component and mix it in. So that's going to be the first one. We're going to add some glitter and some black glitter as well, if I am able to open it. Yes, I am. So I ordered some black glitter actually for the polywog tail, but we're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of that. I actually don't like working with glitter because you just don't get it off your skin at all. So now we'll start mixing that in. So once it's mixed nicely, we're going to go ahead and grab our injection. And once we've got that, we're going to take our mold and add the first little bit into the tail as well, but mainly into the body. So that's going to be the first layer for us, and I'm just going to go ahead and set that off. We'll add a bit in the tail here. We'll see if it starts leaking or not. Then we'll grab the next component B. So I think this was a bit excessive, but we might just ignore that. So then we're going to get some green. Oh no, that one does not want. Good to know that that ring is not fixed. Now we'll put in a nice drop of the green and add some of this powder. With the powder, they say you should always do a 1:7 ratio, that one sees it nicely, so keep that in mind as well. There we go. Grab that. Now get the next injection, place it in, and pull up the next color. Now I'll grab our lure again. That's going to be the green for us. And now I'll just go ahead, grab our blue. I already see the colors mixing, which we actually don't want, but it seems that there is a little bit of, I think I should have maybe waited a bit till the first layer hardens a bit, but we'll see how it looks once I'm done. So that's going to be the blue. Now I'm still going to get some blue luminescent color. I put in a little bit less than 1:7, but as I said, it's all about experimenting, so we'll see how it goes. So that way down like. Now grab our form. As you see, it is mixing a little bit, but clean that off. And I learned from the last time. I actually think through the glitter itself, you might change some of the values of how it is while casting, and that might actually make it come out a bit more. So we just see how that goes, and then I'll actually get a needle if I find one. I'll look for one, and then I'll actually try and make a swirly. So after a little accident, I poured actually the lure partly out again. So now we're just going to go ahead and swirl through here, and then we'll see how that turns out. I'll pop it in the oven, and then we'll see anyway if it's a complete fail or if we made something usable. So we're back. The color didn't turn out as I actually wanted it to, but we'll see what we're working with and if the form actually filled properly. And we had a little bit of leakage, but I thought it would be worse. So you see we've got a little bit of the silicone that went through, but it's easy to clean off. You just wipe it off like that, and then you see that that actually is not too bad. It's still quite sticky, so we'll see. So as you see, that is the rough form. It's still a little bit softer than I would like it to be, but we managed to demold it, and I'll still give it a little bit of time to actually cool off, and then I'll still add some eyes and we'll see what we've got. So as you guys can see, we demolded it. It's got a nice paddle tail right here. I still have to clean it up a little bit. It's still quite sticky, but we're gonna add our eyes in the next step, and that we're gonna just do with some super glue that it holds a bit better. And once we add them, I'll get you guys in for the outro. We'll see if it actually reacts with the super glue, because I don't know yet. So that was a little bit much, but we'll fill out that nicely and grab ourselves one of our eyes and just plop it on like that, and go ahead to the next side and plop it on. So there we go. It's a bit extreme, the color. I'm not too happy because they actually mixed, so I should have waited a little bit longer for the color at the bottom to set, and once it sets, cast on. But I was a little bit impatient and wanted to try the form, and now we know that it works. I still want to redesign it a bit because the head is a little bit too thin for my taste, because threading through a hook will be a pain. But we know that we can make our casts, our molds ourselves, which is really cool, and we'll see what we can do with that. So I'll see you guys for the outro in a moment. Hi and welcome back to the outro. So I'm really excited that the mold itself held up, which is really cool. That means you can even do it with PLA as a base for your mold, and you don't actually have to use anything else if you stick by the 80 degrees for hardening out the baits. So that's quite cool. I'll show you guys what we are working with. I glued in some eyes. There's still going to be some changes towards this bait, I think, myself. I will be trying to go in with the width a little bit more of the lure itself right here, and keep it a little bit broader up here, because it is very much like a arrow, and I would like to be a little bit thicker. And I will also change the mold process here, that we've got a little bit of a curve towards up and it doesn't stop so abruptly. So I'll be doing that, and maybe a little bit thicker of the tail, but otherwise I'm actually really happy with it. I still have to play around with creating the layers. It worked well with the bait last week, so I just have to be patient, wait a little bit more to see that the first color sets, and once it sets I can do the next color. And I'll also be checking if maybe the usage of glitter changes something in that process, that maybe the glitter pushes the colors up because the glitter wants to float towards the top, or something like that. Just thinking out loud here. If you know something towards that, please drop it in the comments, because as you know, I just started doing my own soft baits, and we're going to be trying and making tails for our baits as well, which we will be keeping clear, and we'll see how much they hold up to if you mount them in. I just have to find a way to actually make them changeable, that if the tail gets attacked quite a lot in your lure, you can actually swap the tail itself out. So those are just some small things that I'm going to be thinking about in the next weeks. I actually also designed a new type of lure with some fins on, but we'll be getting into that next week. I think I'll do a airbrushing video, because I want to do a little bit more of the airbrushing as well. And we're going to be trying this new type of lure. I actually added these fins. I don't know if it will make it too stable once trying them out, or if it still has a wobble, because it's going to be a lipless crankbait, the first one on my channel. And we're going to mount the line tie right up here, and one hook from here from the belly and one at the back. As we know, it's going to be a front heavy lure. So if you're interested, stick around for next week's video. And if you have any questions in how I designed the lure or anything, and you are interested in that process, reach out to me. Then I know if I should make a video on how to easily make soft bait molds, because I didn't find it that problematic. But as I said, we still want to test a bit and see if we get some molds that out, and some forms, different forms. Yeah, so pretty much that's it. And thanks again for joining another video, and we'll see each other next week. I wish you a great one. Cheers.